This is John Ward, welcoming you to another presentation of Tennessee football on home video. The story you're about to see unfold is one of adventure and achievement. It's the story of teamwork, commitment, and the will to win.
Doesn't need a lot of... Oh! He took a weapon!
Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. Today we wanted to just do a recap of Texas A&M versus Alabama, some of the things that we saw, and we would love to hear y'all's thoughts on what y'all saw too. And then, we'll also talk about some other games, especially SEC games and, I guess some Big Ten, Pac-12, all that good stuff. Obviously, the Texas versus Oklahoma game, I think that was big for the conference just because there's a lot of undefeated teams out there, and the SEC was looking like it was on the outside in, but it's looking like it's going to all end up working out, especially for these Vols. So with all that being said, man, what did y'all see yesterday in that Texas A&M game? Like, what do you think that Tennessee needs to be looking out for?
Well, number one, they have a great run defense. They had Bama, negative rush yards in the first half. Now, a lot of that was because of the sack yardage. They had several sacks as well, so that pushed them back. But they did a great job stuffing the run against a pretty physical Bama O-line. So I think that's the biggest thing that stands out to me is that D-line is something it's going to be the biggest challenge of the game for us, in my opinion, is can we move the line of scrimmage? Can we create holes in the run game? I think that's going to tell the tape for that game. Yeah. But, overall, man, I think the defense flies around. They got guys that can move at the second level, some pretty good backers, in my opinion. I think we do have opportunities in their secondary. We saw Bama kept picking on 28. I think Dewberry was his name. They kept on picking on him. Jermaine Burton for Bama went for like 200 yards against those guys, had a career day. So I think we'll have opportunities in the passing game. The question is, can we hold up, in pass protection and give Milton time to, make those throws down the field. But it's definitely going to be a hard-fought game. I think it being in England is going to be huge for us. But we definitely got our work cut out for us this week.
Yeah. Bray, did you get to watch any of it?
I saw a little bit of it. I didn't really see a lot of it. But going back to this, I think they're going to have opportunities in the secondary that Tennessee is.
Yeah. So, this is – I don't know if this is correct or not, but it looks like Alabama only rushed for 23 yards on 26 carries.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
It was negative in the first half, man. That run defense is stout.
Yeah, I'm sure that's some type of a record, right? I don't think Alabama has ever been held to that low of a rushing percentage per attempt average. That's incredible. And then, one of the things that I've noticed with Texas A&M's defense is that they do a lot of three-man lines. So, whether it's 3-4 or, if they go to nickel, it's like a 3-3-5. 3-4, obviously, it's a tougher defense for you to run on. But that 3-3-5, which is what I think that we'll see, Tennessee will see mostly that because we're going to spread them out. I think that we should have some creases and some opportunities for some big chunk run plays. I don't know, man, but seeing that stat right there and, just watching that game, they were mostly in their base 3-4 up against Bama. And, for them to be able to shut them down like that, that speaks volumes to how they play. Now, like y'all said, obviously their secondary is not great. For them to be able to have who's this guy? Jermaine Burton. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, he went for 9 catches, 197 yards, 22 yards per catch with 2 touchdowns. That's just like ridiculous.
And they showed a stat, I think, the previous 4 games or whatever, he had like 8 catches for like 150 yards or something. So wow. he surpassed his season total in that one game. Yeah, and they're mainly picking on number 28.
Yeah, and so that's probably who we're going to be, going at too. Now I haven't sat down and really broke that film down, but from what I've seen in previous games, Texas A&M looks like they like to do a lot of one high look, or sometimes you get in that. You might be able to kind of tell me what this coverage is. Whenever they go 3-3-5, you've got a couple of linebackers that are maybe 10, 12 yards off of the ball. And, it's like a 2 high look. It's almost like a 3 high look. But I think that it ends up being a little bit of like a match man, match zone concept. But usually whenever, teams that run defenses like that, Tennessee has pretty much killed them. The only team that had success with it was Georgia. But Georgia was able to get pressure with just, 3-4 guys. Yeah. And I don't know. Obviously Texas A&M has got a lot of good dudes up there and they can rotate them. There's no drop off from 2, 3, 4.
Definitely.
So, like you were saying, Pete, offensive line is going to be huge in this game. Cooper Mays is back. He's going to be back for his second week playing wise. Now, obviously, he's played a whole lot of football. So not too concerned about him. He had that week off to kind of get himself back into shape, which hopefully he did. We had to heal up. We're going to need a lot from Dante Thornton. He's going to have to step up if he's ready to go. Yeah. And, obviously guys who we've been kind of leaning on, Squirrel White, Keaton, some more guys who got to step up. We've talked about it a whole lot. Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod, tight end play is going to be big. I think that they're going to work to stack that box, even if they go 3-3-5. I think that they're going to try to put a lot of people inside of that box to slow down Tennessee's run game, force us to be able to hit people one-on-one on the outside. Can we win those matchups? Can we hit people when they're open, or can we hit them even when they're not open? I think that, that those are going to be the biggest keys to our offense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple things play to our advantage. I think, number one, with our splits, like you said, they're going to probably play a lot of man because they like to try to stack the box if they can. So they'll probably have to match up, have four guys kind of split out wide, with our four guys split out wide, and match it up. So we'll have one-on-one opportunities. We're going to be able to create separation, and Joe Milton has to be able to get those passes completed down the field. I think another thing that I don't think A&M's really seen is a team that goes anywhere near as fast as we do. And I think that's always kind of the X factor when we're playing a team that we don't play very often. They have to adjust to our tempo and how fast we move. They got a bunch of guys up front, but they're not going to be able to sub those guys, at least not, during series. It's going to have to be between series. So those guys will get tired, Walter Nolan, some of those other big guys that got up front. Those guys can go, but can they go, 7 or 8 play drive going at the, breakneck pace that we go at? I think that's going to really play into our favor as well. So, I feel good about the matchup, but we're just going to have to get out there and see it. I want to see how we hold up against their D-line and, see how we can pick up, because they do some kind of exotic blitzes from time to time. They have some really good blitzing linebackers. They'll bring corners and safeties too. So can we pick that stuff up? I know there was one play. I want to say they blitzed it was the outside linebacker, number 45. He came through clean on a blitz. I think they blitzed him and the corner, or maybe him and the nickel off the blind side of Milrow. And, just laid him out, caused a fumble. He was shaking up after that play. Can Milton see that type of stuff pre-snap and, adjust the coverage or adjust the call, whatever it may be, to protect himself and, protect the football. But, this is, like I said, it's going to be a tall test for us, but I do think we'll have success because they'll give us one-on-one matchups outside. And I think our receivers are capable of making those plays, and Milton can make those throws. So, yeah, feel good overall about it.
Absolutely. And so, Agent Orange, I see that you are in the house, man. Appreciate that comment. So, guys, just to let y'all know, if y'all do come in, we are streaming from StreamYard, and it's not showing us y'all's comments here, but we've got the other deal here. So I'll be flipping back and forth just to check on y'all's comments, but we will not be able to post them up on this screen, just so that y'all know. But kind of back to your point, but this is something else that it's pretty concerning for me from what I've seen from our tackles throughout this season, is that they don't seem to play very well in space. So whenever they get that speed pressure from outside guys, which, as Pete just said, they're going to bring pressure from a lot of different places. That's one of the good things about having a 3-man line, is that you've got 4 or 5 guys that are better athletes that you can do a lot of great blitzes with. I would love, I'm curious, and I'm a little bit anxious to see how John Campbell and how Gerald Mincy are going to hold up against that type of pressure. That's going to say a lot. Joe Milton's pocket presence is going to have to be really, really top of the line. We talked about this with Sports Talk Jay, and too, that's something that we didn't talk about to start this off with. We want to give a big shout out and thank you to Sports Talk Jay for letting us come on his show. That was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can, do some more stuff moving forward. That's something that y'all asked us for, and it's something that we had wanted to do anyway. So that actually worked out great. But one of the things that we did talk about, in that live stream was Joe Milton's pre-snap reads. He's going to have to get better at that. We think that he's going to be good at it this week. They've had an entire off week to get ready for the Aggies, and he should know what he's seeing. So as long as we can, get things kind of set up right and people know who to block, I'm sure that they'll be capable of at least holding them up long enough for us to exploit those one-on-one matchups on the outside. Now, I do also think that, with them going 3-3-5, I do think that we're going to be able to run them. So, Jalen Wright's going to have a really big game. Small and Sampson. Want to see Sampson be number 2. I think that he maintains that spark a little bit better. Or at least what I've noticed in watching film is that Wright comes out, whenever he needs a spell, and then Small comes in, and it's like hit or miss if he's going to continue getting those spark plays. Sometimes he's a little bit too patient at the line of scrimmage, and he can tend to kind of get held up there. I would rather see Sampson come in who can continue, that driving force, that power. Obviously, Nealon, if you're going to that game, we said it last week up against South Carolina, you're not going to spectate. You are there with the purpose and to do a job, and that's to get that stadium as loud and as rowdy as you possibly can. So I think that with all those factors combined, our offense should be pretty productive. What you about to say something, Bray?
No.
Okay, you good?
I definitely think so, man. Like I said, I think our offense will be good. Heupel's typically pretty good coming out the bye week. We'll have some plays drawn up. It's going to come down to Milton hitting that throw and to the receiver making that catch, and to the O-line protecting and giving us time to get that ball off. But we're going to have guys open. I think we'll have guys open. And I do think the run game will be there. I think that, like we said earlier, the tempo is going to affect these guys, a lot of bigger body guys that they have up front. And so, that's always a little bit of a kind of a culture shock, if you will. Whenever you're going against our tempo, like theyese guys are going to be gassed. They're going to be looking to the sideline. There's not going to be any help coming, because we're going to be going fast. So, we're going to have opportunities to move those guys and should be able to create some positive plays in the run game. And we're going to see if we can use Drummond's legs at all, if he can do some read options. Now, I will say that A&M did a great job against Milroe. I think he rushed for negative 31 yards in the game. Now, obviously, sacks go into that as well, but he didn't really have any plays like positive yardage running the ball.
I was just thinking about that too.
So, they did a good job corralling him, whatever their game plan was. I know they always had a spy on him. They probably won't be spying Milton, so he'll have probably more opportunities to make some things happen. But, at the end of the day, it comes down to our O-line. I think that's the biggest test of the game. Can our O-line hold up against, that freaking wave of guys they got up front?
I think that they will be spying Milton, because that's something that I've seen. I've seen them spy almost every single quarterback that they've played up against. So, I think that he will see a spy, but that's good.
Good, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's one guy that he's that's just going to be wasted. So hopefully they bring that spy out. Now, flipping it to the other side of the football there, I think that their offense, I was a little bit nervous about them at first, because they do a whole lot of things that stress the middle of our defense. So linebackers, who we know we're really young there, and then our safeties. We're worried about that up against Florida, and we were worried about that, against South Carolina and Spencer Rattler. But, we handled that challenge a lot better, obviously, against Rattler and his team. But, I was just concerned because they do so many things that it's like they'll go play action. It'll be 7-8 people blocking, and then they'll have a tight end and then maybe like a running back or something come out late. And whenever they go out, they're going out on some, wheel routes. It's deeper routes. And they actually ran that against Alabama, and they had a guy wide open for a touchdown. I think that they might have missed it. That was early on.
It was one they hit. It was to his brother.
Okay, yes. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's the one that they did hit. That was pretty concerning to me. But the more that I'm seeing them play now, if our defensive players read their keys properly, we're going to be just fine. They don't do a whole lot. They do a whole lot of stuff. It's, again, it's kind of like window dressing. They'll make, one half of the offensive line is going one way, the other half is going somewhere else. One half, they do a lot of stuff where they have options on one side of the field, options on the other. But we should be able to shut that down on both sides of the field. We just have to play disciplined football. Yeah. And us coming out of a bye, we should be very, very ready for this game. And, this guy Johnson, if you get pressure on him, he's not very accurate. He's just not. But if you don't get pressure, he's very accurate. So as we talked about with Sports Talk Jay, we really want to, I would say blitz. However often they pass, like let's say if they're passing 60% of the time, we would need to be blitzing, I'd say at about a 65% clip, just to make sure that whenever he is passing, we are getting pressure, unless we can just get pressure with our front four. And in that case, you just kind of sit back and let the defense roam.
That'd be nice.
Go hunt.
Yeah, if we can just rush 4 and get there, that'd be nice. But I do think we got to pressure this guy. Can't give him all day to throw. A lot of the routes are kind of slow developing routes. We want to, hit these deep shots. So we got to bring the pressure. But at the same time, I think manning up with these guys is going to be a little bit of a challenge because they do have, Evan Stewart as a really dynamic receiver. Anaya Smith's dynamic. Even Musa Muhammad III, whatever his name is, he's dynamic as well. And so the only guy that we really trust in man coverage is Kamal Haddon. Maybe Wessel Walker might be able to do it from the safety spot. And then whoever the other corner ends up being with, Slaughter, whoever, maybe he can do it. You don't trust Tank McCullough doing it. And then, and I also don't know if I really trust our backers covering their running backs in space either.
No.
And so I don't know, it's going to be, it's a tall task. I think they have a lot of weapons on offense. But I do agree. I think we need to try to bring pressure. Just, if nothing else, to get the quarterback kind of out of rhythm. Yeah. And, because he's going to miss throws. He's going to throw us the ball. If we can get pressure on him, you know what I mean? And so let's see if James Pierce, Tyler Barron can get home, maybe bring in 4. But if he's patting the ball back there, got all day, we got to start getting exotic and bring guys off the edge, wherever it is.
For sure.
But, yeah, I think some also plays into our favor. I'm not sure how big their O-line is, what their weight is, but we talked about this earlier. They're bigger, slower guys. Yeah. And so I think kind of, especially, James Pierce is kind of a smaller, quicker twitch guy. Even Tyler Barron's quick twitch. Yeah. Omar Norman-Lott's quick twitch. So I think we actually are going to get a lot of pressure on him just with the front 4. And we honestly haven't even really been a super successful team blitzing this season. So, I don't know. We'll see what the game plan is. We got 2 weeks to kind of get ready for it. But, I would probably sit back, bring 4, see if those guys can get home, and just try to play coverage in the back end, see if – this is because I'm scared to death of all the speed they have at receiver. I just don't get a big play.
Yeah, no, I most definitely feel you on that. But the only reason that I'm saying that we need to blitz more is just because even if the pressure doesn't get there, all we got to do is just throw him off of his rhythm. Like you said, just throw him off of his throw him out of the pocket somewhat. And he's just not accurate. If there's any type of pressure at all, he's just not accurate. So I would just roll the dice there, even if somebody's wide open. I've seen this 2 games back to back where he's missing wide open people. P, like you said, he's throwing the ball to the other team. He's just not accurate. So that would be that's what I would do. Yeah. Now, talking about the offensive line being slower, they do a lot of pulling. I don't think that they've got the proper personnel to be able to pull successfully against athletic linebackers, and we've got some guys that are fast enough. We just have to see the play and go and get it right now. Yeah. If we do that, we'll blow their running game up. They won't be able to run for barely any yards. I agree. That's where the key is there. We've got to be very, very quick to identify what the play is, and if we're wrong, be wrong at full speed. And let's just go hunt. Go ahead.
But to your point, something you said earlier about reading our keys, that's something I've noticed on film is maybe because their O-line is bigger and a little bit slower, they give you a pretty decent pre-snap read of what they're going to do. Like you'll see these guys lighten their stance if they're pass pro or if they're about to pull. And so I'm sure our guys are seeing it on film too. And so, don't be surprised if we're playing super fast downhill because we can see it pre-snap what they're about to do. So
yeah. So I actually, we were sitting down watching the game together yesterday, and Pete was calling out, run, pass, run, like he knew it. So this is a game that we should definitely be ready for. Did y'all have any more thoughts to kind of add to that? Well, let me try to get to some of these chats because go ahead.
I think one of the biggest keys to the game is kind of like you said, they have so many playmakers, but mainly Evan Stewart. How are you going to contain Evan Stewart? He's a dog. He was going crazy yesterday. So how are they going to be able to contain him? And then Anaya Smith, even with like kick returns, punt returns, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, so look, Dylan Elam just talked about him. He's saying that we got to lock him down. He's also saying that Aaron Beasley is key on that. I think he was talking about maybe the blitzes, or I'm not sure at what point that comment came in. And then Agent Orange says A&M scores about 20 points a game. Our D should keep us in this. Just need heads up O-line play, good run and pass protection. He's exactly right on that. Agent Orange, appreciate that. Appreciate that, Dylan. Jerry Gibson says, go Vols. And VFL Willie says, go Big Orange. Yep, I agree with all that.
Who was the guy, Big Orange or Agent Orange? What did he say? He said something there I wanted to comment on.
He was probably the A&M 20 points.
Yeah, the 20 points a game. Yeah, that's something we talk about all their weapons they have.
Yeah.
But and we talk about this as well. Like they have so many weapons, but I feel like they don't utilize them enough. Like they should be able to do more offensively.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're so like kind of, I don't say scared, but like we're alert, like we're kind of worried about a little bit. It's because they have the potential to pop at any time.
Absolutely.
All those weapons. And I don't know if you know, Bray, that big number 3 receiver they have. Was he out? The big tall guy's like 6'6". They got big tall.
Yeah. I think
he out?
I think
he got hurt.
I
want to say he got hurt in the last game.
One of the games we watched, he had like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think the first game of the season.
Yeah, it was the first game. Yeah.
So they have so many weapons, but it seems like the offense, for whatever reason, it doesn't really utilize those guys somehow. I don't know.
I think that what it is what you just talked about, Pete. And actually, I want to say that last night is what opened up my eyes to that fact of there's just a lot of things that offense does that is just it just gives away what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's easier for defenses to get a beat on what they're trying to do. And, I think that's why, and obviously, they've still been able to move the ball and everything because they have so many guys. Yeah. Now, Bray, you was about to get into special teams. This is really, really big. And I wanted to talk about this on Sports Talk Jay's channel too, but we cannot kick the ball to any of their specialists. Yeah. Okay. Kick the ball out of bounds. I don't care if it's kickoff, I would rather us kick the ball out of bounds, let them get it on the 40 instead of giving them the opportunity to run it back. But we're not going to put the ball in play. I mean, or we better not. Yeah. Now, the other thing too, though, is Jackson Ross with that rugby style punting. I think that we've done a great job of getting down the field. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe then you do try it in that number 0.
That's Nye Smith, yeah.
He has fumbled the ball so many times, but he's picked it up because he's had time to pick it up and then make plays. We may be able to get a turnover there, especially in a really loud stadium. Mm-hmm. If we can let our guys get down there, kick it to them, especially if you can maybe like left-footed kick it, get that weird spin on there. Yeah. And, maybe he fumbles it a little bit, we knock him out of the game or something. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
Pick up the ball.
That's a great point, and
early on.
And I honestly wouldn't mind seeing us kick it to them on kickoff just because I feel like our kickoff team is ferocious. I mean, we've only had 2 guys return kicks on us all season.
I don't want to see us do it on
kickoff. Until somebody proves to me that they can do something on our kickoff team, hey, let's kick it to these daggum guys. Now, but here's the deal. What's his name? Turbyville, whatever his name is, the kickoff guy. He usually kicks out of the back of the end zone, which is why you don't see any returns.
So I want him to keep on doing that.
Yeah, he'll probably do that again.
This is a game that you better kick that thing as hard as you can.
Yeah, get out back of the end zone.
Yeah, man. Kick it 20 feet off of the ground if you have to. Man, just kick that thing straight through the goalpost. They're really good there. So, and then listen, guys, this was really about y'all. So if y'all have any comments, thoughts, concerns, we're gonna read that off. Really just wanted to get more of y'all's take on what y'all see from this game. We can talk a little bit about Bama too. Obviously, we got to watch them. I wasn't scouting them too hard because we don't play them for a whole nother week. I try to take it one game at a time, but I'm not too impressed with Bama altogether. They just now listen again. They've got a whole lot of guys, and if they get in like one-on-one situations, especially up front, you can see how good their guys really are. Like their offensive line. Across the board can handle pretty much anyone in the country one-on-one. If it's just a straight one-on-one block, they're probably going to win. I would say most of the time. Where they seem to be having some trouble at is, in their offensive scheme, some pressure comes and with their quarterback. So him not getting the ball out of his hands quick enough or not being accurate down the field, I think that's what's hurt them the most. I see a few comments coming in. Let me see what y'all talking about here. We've got Justin. He says, what is P's page? I remember him from videos in the past, but forgot what his handle was. P?
I think it was just Paris Head. I think it's just
But are you still posting on there?
Yeah, I'm not still posting on there. So
okay.
Yeah, you won't probably find anything. It'll be old videos from like 2021 if you go in there.
Yeah, but definitely going in there and check that out. We're thinking about getting Bray a channel as well. Something. It may be off of this channel, but something more geared towards basketball. Just an FYI for y'all, just to be looking out for that in basketball season. If that's something that you can do, I know that you got a tight schedule, man. But maybe you can do that. Maybe we'll get you and maybe you and Papa can get on there. Dylan Elam says Bama's O-line has dudes. They're just young and prone to rookie mistakes. That's exactly what that's pretty much what we're saying here. They're really good, and it's the same thing with their front on defense. They've got a lot of good guys, and I think that they're young on offense and defense. So, they're going to go through their lumps, but I'm just not too concerned about Bama as a whole, as a team right now. What does concern us, though, is going down to Tuscaloosa. And we were kind of talking about what's going to play out this coming Saturday. I think that this is going to be upset Saturday. There's one pretty much every year in college football. There's a lot of matchups that we'll probably get into at some point. But I think that a lot of the top 10, top 15 type teams, I think that they're going to be losing this week. And, I think that Alabama and Tennessee are going to be moving up in those rankings. That could potentially be a top 10 ranked game going into it. So we'll see. I mean, I know that their crowd's going to be into it. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah. That's definitely going to be a big time game, man. Bama obviously getting the win. They're still everything they want still in front of them. So that crowd's going to be rocking and rowdy. So we definitely got to show up and play, which some haven't done well is play on the road under hype really at all. So
yeah, absolutely. And then I'm going to get into Justin had another comment. He says, Perry said that's what it was. Those videos were gold. He was saying that he knows that he recognized you from something. Y'all keep up the good work on here. Hey, thank you so much for that, Justin.
Love.
Yeah, y'all keep up.
Appreciate that love, man. But I feel like Bama. When I was watching a little bit of the A&M game, I think their D line to me is. They look really good. Like they have a really, really good. Run defense and pass rushing.
What's his name? Dallas Turner, I think.
Dallas Turner, he's the real deal. But really, they're interior guys. I don't know how big they are. They look like they're all about 6'4", 6'5", 310, 320 type guys and can move. I'm sure some of those guys are even bigger than that. Yeah. But they did a great job, I think, of just kind of manhandling the A&M offensive front. But I'm not too impressed, with their offensive skill guys, whether it's the running back. They're not playing Haynes from Buford.
Oh yeah, they're not playing Justin.
Yeah,
he's the best running back.
Yeah, is he hurt or something?
I don't know.
They're not playing him.
He's a dog,
I think he'll give them a spark. And then their receivers, they got Jermaine Burton.
They got Bond.
Yeah, Bond. He's fast. He got open. But nobody really scares you. And then Milroe.
Milroe's like hit or miss though. He played great yesterday.
He did.
Go back versus Texas plays bad, so
yeah,
he's just hit or miss. Which version you get them in a week? That's another thing with Texas A&M too. Like they can 1 week they'll be a top 5 team in the country. One week they're terrible. So.
Yeah, we they're a typical team that can beat anybody.
Yeah,
but they could lose anybody. Typical type of team like that. So we got 2 tough games back to back, man. I think Bama has a bye week next week. So
tough stretch.
Yeah, it's a tough stretch, man. Then we got Kentucky after these 2 guys. So
team that got dominated by Georgia yesterday.
Yeah, hey, I'm tell you, hey, that's a bad Kentucky team in my opinion. But I do think Bama's going to be might even be a taller test than A&M is this week. Just because that's a game that they want. They're going to want that game bad. It's in Tuscaloosa. And that's always tough knocking those guys off.
That's a revenge game for them. Saban's gonna have them right.
Yeah, and their backs are against the wall.
Yeah,
Like
they can't lose no more.
Yeah, they can't lose. So
who was that?
Talking about
Bama, Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
game.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of what was getting or what I was getting at is that. Excuse me. That one is gonna for sure. That's gonna be a really, really big one. So, can we handle that test? Now, something that I would do just in practice, and y'all kind of give us y'all's feedback and thoughts on this, but I would have us throughout the rest of the season practicing with loudspeakers and turned all the way up to the absolute max. Speakers on the field, as many and as loud as we can possibly have through every single portion of practice. I would start off running, get these guys tired first, and then go through practice with all that noise, a whole lot of stuff going on, so that we cannot not be good on the road, right? P, you was talking about this. I think that the best road game that we've had was probably LSU. But that wasn't a very hostile. It was probably pretty hostile.
It was early noon kickoff.
Yeah, but it's not going to be anything like what we'll be seeing, going to Bama, which that's probably going to be. Hopefully, it's going to be a 3:30 game. I'd rather be 3:30 than be a night game.
Heck, how do you feel about? I've thought about this, and I don't think it would ever get approved. But if we could somehow get 102,000 fans that are like true Tennessee people who aren't going to expose anything, leak anything, heck, bring them to the stadium every freaking, and we're practicing the stadium on 102,000. I think that would be a great idea. But I know it never happened. But that's something.
You know what? Yeah, that would be perfect because you know what? I know that we have the type of fan base that would be all for trying to help us out, right?
Absolutely.
That would be great. I'm gonna get to some more of these chats here.
Recorded.
Yeah. That's. You already know. There's too many people for that to be possible. So let me get into Agent Orange. He says that he's wondering what the wide receiver lineup looks like, and if they rotate more without Brew, maybe Thornton pops this game, need that speed and length. Yeah, I would say that, I think that the rotation is kind of what it is, right? We don't really rotate very much during drives. So whoever comes out starting, which I would fully expect Squirrel White and Keaton to be two of our starters, because they have been consistent as it gets. Mm-hmm. They've been dogs, maybe a couple of drops here and there from Keaton. I don't know if Squirrel has made a mistake. It seems like he hasn't made one the entire season.
I think he did have one drop one game. It was like a little hitch or something like out route.
Outside of Brew, he's probably been our best wide receiver.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about outside of Brew, not from a numbers perspective, because, we've talked about this a million times, but Brew gave us a whole lot outside of what the stats might show. Mm-hmm. But Squirrel, he's been very productive. And all of our guys block well. So, say all that just to say, I'm not sure. Maybe Caleb Webb would be the other guy that would be starting. I don't think Thornton would be starting.
Yeah, so you think they would go Caleb Webb. I kind of got a crazy feeling they're going to put Dante Thornton in Brew's spot.
Put him out wide.
I just got a feeling they'll start him that way.
Well, maybe. And, maybe he can get out there and block early, get a good block, or, maybe something. I think it's time for him to step it up, and hopefully he does. But I would imagine it to be pretty much the same, rotation as far as how many plays guys are getting as what it has been. With just, I guess, to Agent Orange's point, who's going to be our starters?
Yeah.
Was you about to say something? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I just get up to say something.
I kind of feel like, I don't know. I kind of feel like they are going to rotate him a little more. Like, especially if it's Caleb Webb and Nimrod, I think they will kind of. I mean, obviously not going to do it, during the drive, but I think you might see one or two series of Webb, and then maybe next series might be Nimrod.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got a feeling just because no one's as proven as Brew.
Mm-hmm.
So we might see that.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a really solid point. I can most definitely see that. I think that our offense is going to look a little bit different too. Okay. Obviously you're not going to change everything, but and
that's actually a point I wanted to make earlier about the Bama A&M game is Bama had more success offensively in the second half, and you notice they did a lot of stuff to the sidelines, which is pretty much something that we do a lot of anyway. So I think we'll continue to kind of work the sideline against those guys. Yeah,
keep on kind of dinking and dunking. I'm just waiting, and I kind of hate to put this out here, but I mean, probably none of their guys are watching this. Mm-hmm. But I'm waiting on that daggum screen and go. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Fake it to the outside and have somebody wide open for 6. I know that's coming. Yeah. And that's something else too. And the main reason that I didn't talk about this was because of that. I didn't want to bring it up too early. Mm-hmm. But in a game like this, I know that Josh Heupel has been setting that up. Sometimes you put stuff out on film a lot to set teams up in these bigger games. Mm-hmm. I think that that's what's coming. I sure hope so. Yeah. I'm going to get to a few more of these chats. Let's see here. Big Orange Mountain says, how much do you expect Joe to progress with the bye week? Seems like since he finally has some of his own film to study, the time is right. Maybe we see some of that. Maybe we see some of the setup plays that Hendo did. Yeah, I mean, that's something else that we've talked about. With this bye week, it seems like Hendon is prime, or not. I'm sorry, not Hendon, but yeah, I know, right? Joe is prime to have a really big game. He does better whenever he doesn't have to think, and I don't mean to say that's probably coming out wrong. Huh? He does better whenever things are just laid out, right? So we see at the start of games, whenever plays are scripted in that first and second drive, he does very, very well. Now, Pete, you said this perfectly. If he has to ad-lib, that's when he starts to run into trouble. That's where Hendon Hooker was great at last season. Mm-hmm. Said all that just to say this game, they've had an entire week 2 game plan, might have more of a script. The script may go 2-3 series into. We may come out 2-3 series touchdowns. And with that sort of confidence, you would have.
And then I said, now the game's over.
Yeah, and so you would have to think that with that type of confidence that Joe can kind of ride that wave. The entire team rides it. And I'm thinking that in this game, Joe will finally pass 300 yards passing. That's my, that's
I know. I think it's a great point. Great point by the commenter there as well. Him having his own film, Big Orange Mountain, great comment. Having time to be able to watch your own film now and see what you're doing wrong, or to kind of see the roboticness that because I feel like the last week or two, he's shown me a little more. Like if you go back and watch the Carolina game, there's some pressure that gets to him. He scrambles out, gets out of the pocket, makes throws. Like he's starting to play ball a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And so
loosen it up some.
Yeah, he's loosening it up.
Have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it, man. Hey, football is a fun game, and it's also really, really simple.
See, a lot of them, like Caleb Williams and stuff, they just out there just.
Mahomes.
All those
Russell
man.
Wilson. I mean, all those guys.
Hey, I can't wait to talk about USC. We're going to get to that in just a second, but I want to finish with these comments. I can't wait to talk about that whole Pac-12 thing. All right, so Dylan Elam, he says that Bama had a big talent drop off from last year to this year. He's talking about Kool-Aid makes me nervous and Bama's secondary, but I'm more stressed about going down to Tuscaloosa. Yeah, so absolutely, man. I'm not too concerned. We're going to see talented players every single week. SEC, there's a lot of talented guys. I don't care what they were rated, coming out of just coming out of school. These guys are ballers. You have to be a baller to start in this conference, period.
Especially
I
would say, I think Bama's been having like a talent drop off. I just think Bryce Young just did everything for that team.
So where do you think? Okay, so you see the talent drop off. Obviously, quarterback is huge, right? Yeah.
I'd probably say receivers.
They don't. That's a good point. They don't have any guys.
Even running backs too.
But are there receivers dropping off because they don't have a quarterback?
No.
Because it was also kind of mediocre last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of mediocre last year. Yeah, probably because they don't have a quarterback. It's probably a little bit both.
Yeah.
But there's another guy in that secondary from right here in Gwinnett, Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
You saw that pick yesterday?
That
was huge. That was a huge play too because
they were about to go down and score.
They just picked Bama off, and Bama's already down by 7, and he comes back. I think the next play, maybe 2 plays later, picks it and gets some momentum back. So that was a huge play.
Yeah. So this is the thing about Bama. They're always going to have good front 7 play, and good teams always have good front 7 play. And they've got a great coach, obviously. So you can never really count them out of anything. But, to Dylan's point, having to go down there, that's going to be really tough on us. We've got to find a way to win on the road. But we've got to beat Texas A&M first before that game can mean as much as we all hope that it's going to mean. And now we've got Richard Grindstaff says, good evening, guys, from Waterloo, Iowa. Go Big Orange. Hey, man, way out in Waterloo.
Wow, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, look, Vols travel well. We are global. You already know, baby. And then let me see here. Dylan Elam says, I think they should at least have some headphones and crank all the way up during practice.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that would be a great idea. I mean, because I think that we've just got to be able to get these guys to be able to talk to one another with some type of signs, like force these guys into, hey, like this is going to be our little code or something, like just something. I don't care what it is, but I'm so sick of this narrative that we can't go on the road and win because we're good enough to. And I don't want to talk about that daggone Florida game, but it makes me sick. It makes me sick every time I think about us losing. We are way better than them. We had no business losing to them.
Florida's one of the worst.
Yeah, Florida's awesome. Awful. So awesome. Let me get into some more of these. All right, so here's Justin. He said, interesting stat for y'all. Just dropped by Chris Lowe of ESPN. He says, Tennessee has won their last 12 true home games. Texas A&M has lost their last 7 true road games. I love stats like that.
Yeah, let's keep it going.
Yeah, those stats like that. I have no idea who takes the time to go out and figure it out. But I absolutely love stats like that because you know what? Like it really tells you so much about a team. I mean, it tells you a lot about the personality of a team. Thank you a lot for that, Justin. And Wes McCaughlin says, really going to miss Brew's blocking. There's no doubt about that. I mean, we're going to miss Brew altogether. Hopefully, he's healed up enough from surgery and all that good stuff to kind of come back and, spend some time with the team. I think that'll help him too. I think it's going to be good for him. Obviously, it's going to be great for these guys, and he has a lot to offer from the sidelines too. Just his energy, just his presence. And, again, I don't think that his absence can be overstated. I don't think that we can quantify it to a point that we can really understand what it means to this team for him not to be playing. But, I'm just thankful that he can still be around this program and hopefully get these guys fired up, man. Give us that spark. Yeah, he played 5.
Yeah, was his last game.
He played, I guess 4.5. And then K Curl says, "Go Big Orange." All right, so we got caught up with all of the chats so far, but we'll check back in just a moment. If y'all have anything else to add to it, just go ahead and drop that inside the chat. I'm gonna check it in just a minute, and we'll get to it. We'll bring the conversation back to that point. But wanted to talk about some of these other games. outside of our Vols and who we're facing coming up. Where do y'all want to start at? Maybe we can start in the SEC, or maybe we can move around.
Start with Texas, Oklahoma.
Oh yeah. Okay, so future SEC team. We can start on that one.
It's very big for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Being Texas, same team. They were running high. I had Texas win that game. Quinn Ayers made key mistakes. They couldn't score on that one drive. They were at like the one, took 4 tries, still couldn't score. I think that was a turning point in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Where was that game at? Was it in Texas?
No, so they
it's always at the same spot.
At Cotton Bowl.
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah. Dylan Gabriel, legendary drive.
It's in Dallas, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So they've got the big State Fair and all that stuff. So they turn to that's something that we should definitely go to. You know what I mean? Like that would be that would be a fun one just to go to because we've never done that. So but anyway, I think that it was big for us. So I've already kind of been looking around the entire nation to see who hasn't lost yet and who can lose, because the SEC is looking like it's going to be a one-loss. There's not going to be an undefeated team coming out of the SEC, because we already know coming up in November, Georgia's got a pretty tough schedule, back-to-back games against Ole Miss and Tennessee. We're going to get to that at a later date, but let me just say this. We can't wait. We can't wait to get those dogs up in Knoxville. Can't wait to get them up in Neyland.
Licking our chops since last season.
Can't wait for that.
We absolutely can't wait. So
they dodged us last year. They're lucky. Hey, South Carolina blessed those guys last year.
Yeah, you already know. So with all that being said, I've been looking around because there are undefeated teams, I think that there still is an undefeated team in every other conference. Right now, Big 12, I was hoping that Texas lost because I think that Texas is better than the Sooners. And I think that the Sooners have a better chance to lose another game at some point this season too. I don't know. They play Kansas State.
They got to play again in the championship.
Kansas.
And they're Texas out. Yeah,
there it is. So okay, so that's perfect. Big Ten ball. They've got Michigan.
Penn State.
Michigan looks pretty solid. Haven't seen Penn State play at all. Ohio State is not impressive. They are primed to lose. They're probably going to lose. I have them right now losing to Penn State and to Michigan again this year. So I take Ohio State out of it.
The question is, why ain't they getting fired after this year?
That's a great question. I think this will be the third year that he's lost to Michigan.
30 in a row.
I think that you got to go ahead and really start considering pulling the trigger on getting him out of there.
They're crazy to fire him.
Yeah.
You're losing 1-2 games a year, and I mean that's tough. Who's gonna want to come coach for you guys? If you don't win a championship, you're fired. I mean.
Hey,
I think he'll stick around to the dismay of the fans. He'll stick around. You don't think there's two?
Yeah.
All right. So you think that he's going to stay? I don't know. I'm thinking that who would y'all pick right now to come out of each conference? So we talked about Big 12. Who y'all see coming out of there? And do y'all see them having any undefeated teams?
No.
Quick.
I don't think so. Yeah, I got Texas too.
Texas. Okay. So now for the Big Ten, who you got?
Michigan.
You got Michigan with 0 losses.
I got Penn State with 0 losses. Well, no, I got Penn State with 1 loss.
Okay, so you got Penn State. So you have Michigan losing?
Hold on, are they all in the same?
Yeah, they all the same.
Yeah, they are to play. They are to play.
Yeah, I got Penn State with 0 losses.
Okay, so you got Penn State coming out. Pac-12, who you got?
Washington.
Oregon, Washington, and both of those 0 losses. So Oregon and wait a second, is Oregon playing Washington this weekend?
3:30.
So we're gonna know.
I think Oregon will lose the game. I think they'll lose somebody.
Yeah. Okay.
And we got ACC.
ACC.
No.
Florida State, North Carolina, and then even Louisville looks pretty solid.
Florida State.
Yeah.
So North Carolina is playing Miami this week. All right, so we have to touch on that game. I'm gonna get to some chats. Wait a second, I'm gonna get to some chats, but after that, we're gonna talk about that Georgia Tech game. I want to say this really quickly though. Miami, I'm going through stats, looking at national stats, and in pretty much every single category, Miami was like top 10 in everything. So and then that was coming into this Georgia Tech game. I don't know how they fumbled that game, literally fumbled that game away at the very end, but I have them maybe actually coming out of the ACC. But we're going to get into that in just a second. Let me come back here. All right, so Richard Grindstaff says, I think Thornton realizes this is his time to make his mark and will step up his game. Okay. I have to agree with you, and hopefully that's actually something else that we've talked about. we feel like it's time for Thornton to take that step forward. I don't know what y'all feel with Thornton, but I think that coming from the Pac-12, coming from Oregon to the SEC, to these big, bright lights, it may have been a little bit much for him. So, maybe just a little bit of nerves. And I think that by this point, he should be a little bit more acclimated to it.
It's a totally different type of football.
Yeah, it is. So I think that he does kind of pick it up this week. Now let's get to Wes McLaughlin says, we don't give a damn about the whole state of Alabama. We're from Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You already know. Dylan Elam says, Dylan Gabriel looked like Lincoln Riley was coaching Oklahoma again. Yeah, man.
Or looked like Josh Heupel was coaching.
I was about to say that. Yeah, he absolutely did, man. So, I'm happy to see Oklahoma come out and win that game because, like I said, I think that they're going to mess up some point, and it's going to be beneficial to our volunteers. And that's really all that matters is that our volunteers have an opportunity to go to the playoffs. Yep. And let's see here. We've got Big Orange Mountain says, what if we don't have an unbeaten team from any major conference? How much fun would that be? That would be a lot of fun. Yeah. The only thing that kind of concerns me about that is that the SEC hasn't done well out of conference so far. So I think that our schedules, the strength of schedule may kind of hurt us a taste, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, if you think about who Tennessee has faced, Bama, Texas A&M, Georgia's probably going to be ranked pretty high whenever we play them.
Mizzou, Kentucky may be ranked decently. We would have gone through. This is the three you said: A&M, Bama, Georgia. Carolina. Yeah. If you go through those three unscathed, in my opinion, you've earned your right.
I think that it's just a lot stronger. And then again, if you try to say, okay, well, let's talk about Pac-12 ball. Okay, well, we saw Washington State. Who did they just lose to last night?
Somebody.
Yeah,
UCLA.
Oh, okay. So that's a decent team. Yeah, that's a decent team.
USC almost lost to Arizona.
Man, look, USC almost lost to daggum Arizona last night.
They should have lost.
And so we are going to get to that Georgia Tech game. But let me say this really, really quickly. Pac-12 does not play defense. I think Oregon's the only team that looks like they play pretty decent defense outside of that. And we're going to find out. We're going to find out this weekend. Yeah. But outside of that, it's just it's difficult to say, hey, the offenses are doing great because, they're not playing defenses. Same thing for the Big Ten. You can say, well, they've got 3 of the top 5 defenses. I think they've got the top 3 going into this week. Good. They have the top 3 defenses in the entire country. But what are the offenses doing? Yeah. Right? that is the most boring ball. But Big Ten ball is the most boring ball.
I will say the Pac-12 has probably 5 of the nation's best quarterbacks.
They've got great quarterbacks, but they're not playing up against great defense. Now, I will give you what's his name?
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams is good.
Bo Nix, Shador.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah. So
Michael Penix
Jr. I will give them that. But that's pretty much how it's always been, though. Pac-12 quarterbacks and Big 12 quarterbacks have really had more success in the NFL, historically speaking, than SEC quarterbacks. We saw a pretty good run for the past maybe decade or so. Obviously, we've got guys like Peyton who pretty much led the way. Yeah. Coming from a school like University of Tennessee. Yes, they kind of paved the way for way on down the road for guys like Stafford to kind of make a little bit of noise, and then a whole lot of other fumbled, very highly rated quarterbacks at the University of Georgia, especially under Kirby Smart. A whole lot of guys who have underachieved.
Yeah. Some of them had to go to Ohio State to get noticed.
And then we had to walk on winning national championship back-to-back year. Here we go.
Yeah. So
team's loaded.
All right. So anyway, So that went a little bit longer than I wanted to. But let's talk about Miami versus Georgia Tech. So what was the score? It was 20-17 with what? Maybe like 2
seconds.
That was the final score.
It was 38 seconds left.
Where
but let's talk about that final drive with Miami having the football that led to it. I think that they got the ball with like a minute 40 or something like that. Don't quote me on that. It was something like that. You get to a point where I want to say Georgia Tech was out of timeout. Tell me out in the chat if y'all know.
Out of timeout.
It was third down.
39 seconds was third down. All you have to do is take a knee and the game's over. And they ran the ball and he fumbled.
Hey, but kudos to Georgia Tech for getting that ball out too.
Yeah,
I mean, they said this is our chance.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you already know.
From.
And then so obviously that was
75 yards to score too.
And that's all the deal. How does that happen?
Yeah, okay.
How does this guy get open?
Timeout, 75 yards. I would be playing prevent and I would anything, get to the sideline. Just come up and tackle. Okay, that's pretty much all you have to do. So not only they made one of the dumbest coaching decisions of all time, they made two of the dumbest coaching decisions of all time, and they lost.
And I'm talking about in back-to-back, you know what I mean, in an offensive drive and then on a defensive drive. How does it happen? I wish that I would have paid a little bit more attention to the coverage that they were playing on that touchdown play.
I don't know, but it looks like everybody.
Yeah, it looks like it may have been like a weird cover 3, and I think, and I'm just kind of almost speculating at this point, I think that the guy on the right side, in which I want to say maybe was the field side, may have ran a post. You may have had double post on that side, on maybe cover 3, maybe it was cover 4, and it takes whoever that deep threat was on that side of the field out, and it looked like it was like a deep cross. Yeah, and that guy was just wide open.
Great ball too,
and it was a perfect ball. Yeah, so
Haynes King. We were talking about him. Well, earlier. Wow.
Yeah, that is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's an epic way to lose.
All right, hold on. Let me get to some more of these chats real quick.
I don't like them. I don't like those numbers, but everybody's got their own style.
All right, so Wes McLaughlin says that Mario should be fired with cause for that interview.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Yeah. They asked him why he didn't just knee it after the game, and
I couldn't
really hear what he was saying because I was at home. Cameras running around yelling. So I couldn't really hear what he was saying, but it sounded like he was just fumbling and bumbling, like he didn't really have a solid.
Yeah, he had no answer for that. Yeah, there's no excuse for that. But if y'all know what he said, please tell us down in the comments. And hey, something else too. We're actually working on getting like a call-in thing set up so that y'all can actually call in. I think that would be a ton of fun. Nice. Just to kind of hear y'all's thoughts, man. Now let's see what else we got. And then the invisible redneck says, "I'd be fired from my job if I made a mistake on that level." Yeah, I think that we all.
That's one of the most costly decisions.
Yeah, I mean, like those can be like life-threatening errors in certain fields. You know what I mean? Like if you do like warehouse work or anything to do with any sort of anything like that. That was like a life-threatening mistake to be made. You know what I mean? That was terrible.
That's unreal.
And then Wes says fast. All right, so the invisible redneck says we are favored by 3 versus Texas A&M. Pretty much a toss-up game in Vegas' odds. So I think that before this week we came in as like a 7-point favorite in that game. For them to only be giving us 3, I think that's very disrespectful. So I'm actually happy to see that. We're playing at home. I hope that gets our players fired up, gets our coaching staff fired up, that they think that this game is going to be within 3 points in Neyland. Get our fans fired up. I mean, what do they think that they're stepping into? This is the most hostile, this is the most rocky, the most rowdy fan base stadium on the face of this planet, and we're going to prove it starting off. We did it last week. We're going to do it again, Texas A&M. And every other home game for the duration of this season, we're going to show up and show out. And hey, fully believe
this is that A&M team went out there and lost to a Miami team, went out there and lost to a Georgia Tech team.
What's that tell you? Dang, we can't wait to see those guys.
I was trying to carry it on and say, watch the Louisville team. But
Louisville
looks solid against Notre Dame.
Yeah, and Notre Dame's got
USC.
Yep. All right, so let me get into some more of these. Let's see what we got here. And Richard Grindstaff says, Former's going crazy, or can you imagine Saban would have lost his mind? Yeah, absolutely. He's still talking about that Miami thing. Mike Carmen says, if our D plays lights out and the run game gets a foothold, we win. And he is predicting Tennessee 31, A&M 17. I actually like that. I actually like that a lot.
Say 27-17.
27-17 Vols, right?
Tennessee.
So K. Carroll says Mario is a horrible situational coach. That's why he didn't last at Oregon. Absolutely. And the invisible redneck says we have to score more than 30 to beat A&M. You know what? I don't think that we do. So I think that Josh will. I know Josh Heupel coach teams. We have to score 30, but I don't think we've got to score much more than that. I think that we can really shut down Texas A&M's offense at some point this week. We will go a little bit more in depth with a little bit more of the X's and O's from this game. But, they do a lot of tricky looking stuff. But if you get back to the fundamental level of what they're actually doing, the different keys that our players will be reading on different levels, it's really pretty simple. It's not difficult to stop. So I think that we'll be fine from that perspective. Don't worry too much, man. We're going to be okay. Now let's see here. What else we got? We've got Bo Hunter 101 says, "What's up, guys? Go Vols." Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Bo Hunter 101. I've seen you and several others, in some other chats on different channels. So I absolutely love that too. That our fans are just so passionate that they bounce around from all the different guys' channels. I'm the exact same way. Yeah, we do the exact same thing. Love it. Best fan base in the country. Now let's see. Richard Grindstep says Miami coach said probably should have taken a knee, but got to have two hands on the ball. Yeah, I mean that's not a good excuse. I mean, probably should have taken a knee. Yeah. Come on, dude. Probably.
Man, could you imagine being a Georgia Tech fan and having that happen? Like the game's winding down, you're like, man, the game's over, and they on a play and you get a fumble, man. That'd be the
man. I mean, I'm sure most of those Georgia Tech fans had already tuned out. You know what I'm saying? I mean
probably turned it off.
They probably had already like raged.
I think Case only called to take it.
That was a no-brainer. That was.
What do you think he was playing Madden, trying to get one last touchdown, keep padding the stats? Come on, man.
Okay.
Touchdown this game.
Right. Get him 100 yards.
All right, and let's see here. And we've got the Invisible Redneck says, I agree, Nealon should be worth 4+ points. Absolutely. Dylan Elan says, not just Nealon, a checkered Nealon. Yes, sir, coming off of a bye. That's a given 7 points in my book. And my karma says that he agrees. We concur. And the Invisible Redneck says, you're probably right. Our defense can be very strong. Yeah, I think that our defense is obviously just showing that, hey, if we come up and do those little things correctly, we can be very dominant. I'm proud of the secondary. I'm really happy for I can't think of his name.
Haddon?
Yeah, Haddon. I'm really happy for Haddon. And I think that if you're at this game in Knoxville this week, we need to we need to cheer for him so loud. I am appalled that any of our fans would ever boo anyone that has to do with Tennessee, period. We should never be doing that. Yeah. And you know what? It could have been, and this is what I've kind of come up with. It could have been South Carolina fans. And, it probably more than likely was some, college students that maybe had a little bit too much to drink or something. I don't believe that any of our grown fans or, any of our younger fans would do something like that. That's not who we are as a fan base. So, never want to see that ever again. And I hope that we just cheer him on really, really loud this weekend. We're going to need him in the entire secondary. We're going to get more into that later on this week. But I think that's going to wrap it up, man. It looks like we've been going for well over an hour. We are almost at an hour. So I guess we'll try to rock it out right to an hour. Might as well. We're almost there. Let's read out some more chats. Let's see. Okay, Curl. Okay, wait a second. I've got Carson Dude says Tennessee 41, A&M 28. Absolutely love that. And we will give our predictions to the game a little bit later on in the week. What else we got here? K. Curl says Tennessee will beat A&M by more than what Alabama did. I agree with that 1,000,000%. I think that after this game, Alabama comes in really, really nervous. But I think we're up to the challenge for Bama too. If we just play Tennessee football, we can beat anybody in this country. Not scared of nobody. Not even.
Here's
concerned.
my thing. We talked about Milton having a big day, throwing for 300+ yards.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, A&M let Milroe throw for like 322 on this.
You know
what I mean? So I think that it's there for.
Are you thinking more like 450 for?
Heck, I mean, maybe. I mean, he might have a career day. I mean, I think it might look a little bit like last year at Tennessee, where we're just guys are open, we're hitting. Like I think he's going to have a big day. I think we'll score 40+ points.
Yeah,
and I don't see A&M keeping up with us at all.
I agree. All right, so let's get into some more chats. Bowman 101 says, "I'm for every player on that team, no matter what." I agree completely. Now, listen, I think that it's one thing to kind of call guys out in a way. I don't think, obviously, you should never be reaching out to someone's family, and that's something else. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how could you do that? I would never. But anyway, yeah. Sometimes guys do have to step up, and that's just part of this game. Mm-hmm. They understand that, and, but we do get it. They're out there and they're working hard. Now, that is when I'll really call somebody out. If I know that you're not giving your absolute best, if you don't give your all for Tennessee, then you don't deserve to wear that orange and white. That's something that, Brew and, there's been a whole lot of other guys that have done the exact same thing. Cooper Mays, he's another guy. Give your all for Tennessee. That's all that we are asking. Just do your best. And, hey, we can live with win, lose, or draw. At least that's how I feel.
That's also, too. Hey, I'm never going to boo a guy that wears that orange and white.
Yeah.
Go, taps that Tennessee and goes there and lays on the line for the big orange.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to boo those guys. I might be disappointed in them. Even Garantano. I didn't go to the game, but I didn't boo the guy.
Right.
I was his big supporter, wanted him to do well. So that, to me, is disgusting. And it's terrible. Like, recruits see that stuff, guys.
That's the biggest thing.
You know what I mean? Recruits see that stuff. They say, these fans are fair weather. So, I mean, if you're part of that crowd that does that, please, guys, don't do that to your own team. I would rather those people not even show up. Now, it's probably hard to try to ban somebody for life, for college. But seriously, people like that, you should be banned for life from coming to any Tennessee stuff. If you ever boo our men or women, I don't care. We do not do that. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get off of that. Now, let me see what else we got here. K. Crow says A&M has a weak offensive line. I don't know if I will call their offensive line weak. Definitely not weak. They've got some guys up there. I just don't think that they are. They're probably going to be the best offensive line that we faced all season for sure. I would say up to this point. Yeah. For sure. This will be. I mean, I guess we might say Florida's O-line maybe, but this is probably our first true SEC O-line.
They're better than Florida's offense.
But here's the deal: I know Florida did some different things. Yeah, and we didn't. We talked about the game, didn't play well, but we didn't look as dynamic on defensive front against Florida as we did against anybody else. Right. I mean, South Carolina, UT Martin, those guys, whoever played. Yeah. So I mean, this will be, to me, if I'm Ronnie Gardner, I'm getting these guys hyped up and challenging them and saying, hey. Mm-hmm. They're saying you guys haven't played anybody all freaking season. Come out here and prove it against a real SEC line.
Absolutely.
And I think that A&M has that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then, too, I mean, you know what? We can almost kind of throw that Florida game out the window. Yeah. That's as bad. I think that's the worst game that a Josh Heupel coach team has had in Knoxville, period. I think that we played – I think that Tennessee team would have lost to the team that lost to South Carolina last year. I think that Tennessee team on that day – loses to the same Tennessee team that lost to South Carolina by, I don't know, probably 3-4 touchdowns at least. Yeah, that's awesome. At least. So, worst game that we've seen under Coach Heupel. We'll never see that ever again. Good Lord willing. Now, let's see what we got here. The Invisible Redneck says, D. Williams on offense or just a fan fantasy? So, this is the thing that I believe, and P and Bray, y'all chime in on this. I think that it's more for like gadgetry, and I think that they are just kind of getting him acclimated to possibly being a backup slot guy, and just in case. So I think he's more of a depth piece at the slot position, just because Brew is down, and we're probably gonna have to slide a slot guy, Dante Thornton, out to wide out, or he's gonna be spread out wide. So I think that's more of what that is. It's gonna take us some time to figure it out, coming from defense to offense, and then to something else. I'm just going to say this. Of course, I hope that he does well, but getting yardage on special teams is very different from getting yardage on offense. It's a completely different beast. It's totally different. There's, you set things up differently. Some players can do both, and I think that he's a player that's capable of doing both. Who?
Zach Branch from USC.
Devin Harris is one I was thinking of. Deion Sanders is one I was thinking of. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. But so anyway, that's pretty much. I think it's going to be more of like a gadget guy, and I think he's really more for just depth. I don't think we even see him this week.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I don't see that happening now. I do think maybe long term. I'm not sure if he's a senior or what. I'm not sure what his class is, but I mean, it doesn't seem like he's even in the consideration on defense. So moving him to offense probably would be a good move. But like you said, I think gadgetry. The only issue with our offense is we typically, we're going. You're in for the whole series if you're in there. So he's going to have at least, at least 7 or 8 plays or whatever that he's capable of being in there and running. So we don't have to, slow our tempo down to get him out. But yeah, I definitely don't see him being involved anytime soon for sure.
Okay. Now let's see what else we got here. I'm going to get to some more chats. All right. So Dylan Elam, he says, I was at the South Carolina game. People were definitely booing Kamal. Glad the stats came out this week that he's a top DB in the SEC this year to quiet the casual fans. Yeah, man. Sure. That's just sickening. I kind of want to get off of that, but I'm glad that it came up because I've been wanting to get that off of our chest. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Dylan. Carson I don't know if that's cued or cued. Most people only see the bad plays. Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah, especially at corner.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you can have no catch on your side for the whole game.
Yeah, 30 snaps,
30 snaps.
Right.
Someone can run a go. They can catch the ball on you. Now you suck.
Right.
So, I mean, corner. That's what I think corner's probably one of the hardest positions to play. But
I think from a skill perspective, cornerback has probably got to be the most difficult position. Because like you literally are having to guard the most athletic people on the football field outside of yourself backwards.
Yeah.
Like you're having to start off backwards, and you gotta, you have to mirror them right. And the way the rules are set up now, there's a lot of things that you can't do to be physical to try to slow these guys down.
And it's a receiver game.
It is not easy to do.
Typically, when those guys make tackles, when the corner makes tackles, usually a one-on-one situation. There's usually no
right.
You have to make a tackle on a guy who's probably got 50, 60 pounds on you. You gotta do it by yourself. So
yeah, it's very, very difficult. Let's get back to some more chats. I'm loving this, man. I love hearing y'all's thoughts. The Invisible Redneck, he says, is our D-line the best A&M has faced this year? Man, so from a pass rush perspective, I would say so, yeah. I mean, we've got the most sacks.
We have most sacks.
But I would say that from a pass rush perspective, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah.
I think we may be. I mean, it's tough to – you still got to see more. Obviously Bama's elite,
Yeah.
But I think as far as that pass rush, we got interior. Our guys are quicker twitch. Bama's more bigger, bigger body run pluggers.
Yeah, they're more space eaters.
Yeah, so I think we have more quick twitch guys across the board.
I think that they're going to struggle with us for sure.
I do. I definitely think so.
I think that matchup favors Tennessee pretty heavily. Like we talked about, the offensive line, they're not the quickest guys. So, but our defensive linemen, Omar Norman Lott,
quickest guys.
Yeah, they are. They're really quick. I mean, listen, Omar Norman Lott playing that tackle position. I love this guy, man. And I was so down on him after watching his film. But I did kind of think that maybe he just wasn't motivated at Arizona State. But seeing him play now, Coach Garner has really maximized what he can be and should be. And I think that every single D-line prospect in the country should look at that. Look at what Omar Norman Lott was at Arizona State. And look at what he is at Tennessee. It's a no-brainer.
Right.
Coach Garner's done a great job with him, but I think he's going to have a field day.
I think
he's going to have a field day.
I think he will. Yeah, I think he may have multiple sacks in this game.
Yeah,
him being inside, and then Tyler Barron. We got that cheetah package. Tyler Barron going to be inside.
Gosh.
Him and Norman Lott are inside. With James Piston off the edge, and whoever else, Roman Harrison, whoever else on the other side. I mean, it could get nasty for those guys.
It could, man. And I'm gonna tell you somebody else, true freshman David Hobbs. He would have a field day, I think. And this would be a great game for us to try to bring him in too.
You know what?
Get some confidence up against SEC.
I got a feeling Joshua Joseph's going to show up.
Joshua Joseph's, their tackles again are not. I think that their best offensive lineman is their right guard. I don't know if he's 54 or if he's 64, but I think that that's their best offensive lineman. Outside of that, it's solid. They're capable guys, but again, we just match up very well with them. So that was a great question. I think that favors us pretty heavily.
Yes,
for sure. Now let's see what else we got. We're gonna read a few more of these. Let's see. JL says I'm late. Should be able to throw on TAMU. Yeah, I think that we can throw as long as we have time. That's something that we talked about earlier for sure. So that's an excellent point. JL Timmy G says Alabama D-line is no joke. We will see on game day. Yeah, Alabama's D-line is most definitely. I think that Tennessee came into last week with 22 sacks. Texas A&M was tied for second with a few other teams at 20. And I think that Alabama may have been – they were right around in there. I want to say 19, 17, something like that. So, and they played against some really good teams. So
Texas, Ole Miss, and A&M. And I don't know who else they played.
Were they playing?
Yeah. They beat them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've definitely been challenged. There's something else you can say about Texas A&M. I don't know if they've really had they've been challenged. I mean,
Miami, Arkansas,
Auburn.
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 Auburn doesn't pass. They don't pass.
Yeah, Auburn has
Bama.
Pass.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really played. They may have played one or two scrub teams, so they will be tested.
Yeah.
But that's all the more reason that Neyland, man, we've got to get that stadium rocking for sure. Let's see what else we got here. All right, so Big Orange Mountain says, yeah, I think PFF had Haddon as the seventh highest rated DB in pass defense going into the weekend. Yes, so he's been playing well. Our secondary as a whole, we haven't given up a whole lot of big plays, so we've got to just be consistent with fundamentals and tackling and little stuff like that. But I think that we're fine on our back half. The Invisible Redneck Says gonna be hard to handle when Arion Carter and T-Lander catch up to Pierce and the others. Yeah, man, those two guys have come a very long way, and I really liked hearing what Arion Carter sounded like post-game after that South Carolina game. Sounds like he's really, really confident. You know, he speaks with confidence, speaks with poise, and he's talking about watching a whole lot of film. So I think that he's going to show up really big for us, and I think that entire linebacking core, I think that they challenged themselves to, live up to the billing. And Jeremiah T-Lander, I mean, he's just an absolute dog. He's a hard-nosed guy. I mean, comes to work every single day. I mean, blown up offensive lineman as a true freshman against SEC competition. Absolutely love him. All right, let me see. I think I missed one here. Okay, Timmy G says, corner is without a doubt the most difficult position. You are alone on the island. Absolutely. Agree with that for sure. And then Richard Grindstaff says, I noticed /think A&M O-line is very big but slow off the snap. I think our D-line lights them up. Absolutely. We agree with you for sure. Timmy G says, Omar has been an amazing transfer. I wish Dante would live up to the hype we heard this offseason. Yeah, Timmy, we're hoping that he does, that he steps up this week. And then Wes McLaughlin says, I'm feeling pretty good about our freshman linebackers. Carter and T-Lander are going to be really good. Absolutely. And do not forget about Jalen Smith. That's another one that we haven't seen much of this season. But I think that he's a guy that will show. We talked about this the other day. I think that he will show up like in bowl camp, in bowl season. He just has to gain some weight, get acclimated to SEC football. But we're going to have a great defense moving forward, guys. Yeah. All right. So what else we got here? Justin says, keys to win against A&M for you guys. For me, protect Joe. Lock up in the secondary, and of course, fans doing their thing with the noise. So we are going to go a little bit more in depth with this, but just really quickly, I can tell you that my biggest keys, and we kind of talked about it earlier. Number one is get consistent pressure on Max Johnson. Yeah. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Max Johnson.
Max or Matt? I think it's Max.
It's Max.
Pretty it's Max.
Yeah. Max with an X. Yeah. Max Johnson. Whatever. We got to get pressure on their quarterback, whoever it is. It doesn't matter. Their offense is the exact same, regardless of who's playing quarterback. We got to get pressure on them. We've got to do a good job of containing them in the run game. I also think that we have to win our one-on-one matchups on the outside on offense and on special teams. Don't kick them the ball at all. Don't even kick it to them.
My biggest key is how they're going to cover the receivers, and then don't try to limit big plays. And force pressure, like you said. But try to limit big plays from Evan Stewart and Naismith.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. You guys both said it. Get pressure on the quarterback. He can't have all day throw. And I think we got to be able to move the line of scrimmage and run. I think we have to have some type of run game. We can't be like how Bama was and only put up 30 yards rushing. I mean, so far this season, we got to get 200 yards. It's kind of been our number. If we get above 200, we tend to win the game. So we got to rush the ball, get pressure, and then, like you said as well, Bull, we got to hit those deep shots down the field because they're going to be there. So we got to connect on those.
Absolutely. And I think with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We went a little bit over an hour, but hey, we are so thankful for everyone who came in, watched, commented, gave us y'all's thoughts. We like this platform, we kind of like the way that this is set up just for us to be able to talk with y'all and get y'all's thoughts. We want to try to do this every Saturday. Let us know down in the comment section or in the chat what y'all think about that. We'll try to do something like this every Saturday, a little bit earlier, probably around noon. But we will have some more of a breakdown on A&M coming up this week, so look out for that. Also, we voted on who the next high school film breakdown is going to be on Mike Matthews. I actually did one on him before, but this one we're going to have a little bit of his senior film in there. We're going to just break down what we see from him. So y'all keep a close eye out for that. And as always, thank y'all. Please remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends, family, other Vol fans. Hit that notification bell, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.